And welcome. Tonight, a boat carrying over 200 passengers capsized in River Niger. 8 bodies recovered as search and rescue operations continue. President Bola Tinubu and French President Emmanuel Macron signed 2 agreements that will ensure a partnership on the development of critical infrastructure. And the World Trade Organization WTO General Counsel reappoints Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as Director General for a 2nd term.
And on business news tonight, Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves dropped for the first time in 12 weeks following sustained interventions by the central bank at the forex market.
On sports news tonight, Super Falcons coach Justin Madugu says the team is set and going for a victory against France in Saturday's international friendly in Angers.
Along the Dambo-Ebuchi sections of River Niger, the accident, which occurred in the early hours of today, resulted in the loss of multiple lives. Although authorities have not given any official statement, according to eyewitnesses, passengers in the boat, including market women and farm laborers who were en route to Kacha weekly markets in Niger State, were involved. As of the latest report, 8 bodies have been recovered, while search and rescue operations by local divers have continued as they locate remaining passengers. This tragic incident comes just months after a similar boat accident occurred on the Muwo-Bajibo Road in the river in Mopa local government area of Niger State on October the 1st, 2024, resulting in the death of many. President Bola Tinubu has restated his belief that the strong reforms his administration has embarked on will improve Africa's economic prospects. He stated this at the state dinner organized by the French government for the president, his wife, and the delegation that were in Paris on a state visit. President Tinubu also praised French President Emmanuel Macron, appreciating his interest in Africa and expressing confidence that Mr. Macron's goodwill will foster stronger bilateral ties benefiting the entire continent. The Nigerian leader encouraged both Nigerian and French citizens to uphold the cordial relationship shared by their nations. In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu and French President Emmanuel Macron have signed 2 agreements that will ensure a partnership on the development of critical infrastructure and the long-term sustenance of agriculture and food security. The 2 presidents also witnessed the agreement signing by the United Bank for Africa Group Chairman Tony Elumelu and the French Minister of Economy, Finance and Industry, Mr. Antoine Armand, for the bank to commence operations in Paris, even as Zenith Bank also inaugurated its own services in the country during the visit. The Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, told Channels Television in an exclusive interview today that both leaders also agreed to collaborate on investment and development in critical infrastructure to help support the federal government's reforms, all aimed at stimulating and strengthening Nigeria's economy.
There is a commitment on both sides to engage in agriculture, in development of initiatives to encourage food security. There was an area of solid minerals, an MOU was signed between the 2 ministers in charge of solid minerals. And likewise, as you say, in the finance sector, there was an agreement signed with Agence France de Développement, that's the French development agency, declaration of interest, as well as a letter of intent signed by myself and my counterpart, Monsieur Antoine Armand, the French Minister of Finance. And that focused on all areas from infrastructure, healthcare, technology, housing, and so on and so forth. So it's a wide-ranging engagement. Nigerian financial institutions are opening subsidiaries in France, particularly in the financial center of Paris. We have Access, we have Zenith, that 2 days ago opened a branch. And of course, as you mentioned, the agreement was signed for UBA to process the opening of a subsidiary and a branch in Paris. And what that speaks to is ease of doing business between the 2 countries. It's a sign of the building of trust between the two regulatory organizations. And of course, once businessmen now have at their doorstep an institution familiar with the Nigerian environment and willing to help them with their trade, with their transactions, with their payments, of course, that creates a viable environment for increased business and increased trade and increased economic engagement.
Nigeria's Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has reaffirmed the country's commitment to establishing the Media and Information Literacy Institute following the hosting rights granted by UNESCO. Speaking in Paris during a meeting with UNESCO's Assistant Director General for Communication and Information, Mr. Taufik Jelassi, the minister highlighted the significance of this initiative. The meeting took place on the sidelines of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's state visit to France. Mr. Idris stated that President Tinubu has been a strong supporter of the institute's establishment, approving the release of all necessary funds and ensuring its immediate organization and operationalization. The institute is set to be located in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, Abuja.
This is an institute that we hope, UNESCO hopes, and the whole world hopes that will help in combating fake news, disinformation, misinformation, hate speech, to reduce it to the barest minimum. So this effort by UNESCO is a welcome development for Nigeria, and that is why Nigeria has decided to not just accept it, embrace it, but also to ensure that we host a very successful institute for the future generation. I want to say that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been extremely supportive. All the necessary approvals and grants required for the take-up of this MIL Institute has been not just been approved, but also been made available to the Ministry of Information and National Orientation for the full take-up of that. We want to thank UNESCO. We want to thank Dr. Jelassi for this kind gesture once again, and for ensuring that Nigeria did succeed when the General Assembly finally convenes to give the formal approval to Nigeria to host it.
The General Counsel of the World Trade Organization, WTO, has reappointed Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as the Director General for a second four-year term, set to begin on September the 1st, 2025. The Council says the consensus decision to reappoint Dr. Iweala reflects broad recognition of her exceptional leadership and strategic vision for the future of the WTO, while acknowledging the trust and support of the WTO General Council and its 166 members. Dr. Okonjo-Iweala recognized the vital role the WTO has played in helping members navigate pressing global challenges despite unprecedented levels of uncertainty and the rapid economic shifts. The WTO DG says that she remains firmly committed to delivering results that ultimately improve the lives of people around the world.
No additional nominations were submitted by the November 8th deadline, leaving Dr. Okonjo-Iweala as the sole candidate. I commend Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala for her outstanding leadership during her first term. Amid significant global economic challenges, she strengthened the WTO's ability to support its members and set a forward-looking agenda for the organization. Her leadership was instrumental in securing meaningful outcomes at the pivotal moments, including the 12th and 13th ministerial conferences, MC12 and MC13, where major milestones were reached. So the decision to reappoint Dr. Okonjo-Iweala reflects the members' confidence in her leadership and her vision for the WTO. This successful process reinforces the organization's ability to address global challenges effectively, as members show that they are focused on delivering results and getting the job done at the time when the world is grappling with major issues such as geopolitical tension, economic uncertainty, and climate challenges. It's fortunate that the WTO has a leader like Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, who can help guide the organization to achieve these critical objectives when leadership is most needed. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Peter. DG?
Thank you, Ismaila. I think that the General Council Chair has said it all. All I have to say is that I'm grateful to the membership for the election to a second term. We have a full agenda to deliver for the people of this world that we are here working for and for the planet. And we fully intend to get to work immediately, no stopping, to try and deliver on these results. I'm grateful for the honor of serving this organization, for the trust that the membership has put in me. It's quite a burden, but I relish it and we look forward to working. And I'm also grateful to the staff of the organization, without whose dedication and hard work we won't be able to make it. So that is what I'd like to say. Thank you for that honor, and let's get to work.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has congratulated Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the former coordinating minister for the economy and minister of finance, on her unanimous re-election as the Director General of the World Trade Organization. Her first term as the 7th Director General of the WTO is to end on August the 31st, 2025, while the second term begins on September the 1st, 2025. According to the statement by the Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the Nigerian president notes that Dr. Okonjo-Iweala's unanimous appointment for a second 4-year term demonstrates the trust and confidence the international community places in her leadership to advance multilateral trade for sustainable global development. President Tinubu stated his confidence that her continued leadership will strengthen the International Economic Organization's role as a critical pillar of inclusive global economic growth and good governance in the next 4 years. He assured her of Nigeria's steadfast support as she consolidates her bold reforms, her dedication to equitable global trade practices, and her tireless efforts to promote international cooperation. Outside that now, the arraignment of the former governor of Kogi State, Yahya Bello, at the Federal High Court Abuja has been stalled due to the absence of his lawyers in court. The EFCC had brought the former governor for arraignment on a 19-count charge on money laundering to the tune of 80 billion naira preferred against him and 2 others by the EFCC. At the day's proceedings, counsel to EFCC, Kemi Pinheiro, had moved an application for the charge to be read to the defendants and his plea be taken. Mr. Bello, who addressed the court himself, told Justice Emeka Nwite that he was notified of the arraignment in the late hours of November the 28th. As such, he could not inform his lawyers. In a short ruling, Justice Nwite held that it will be in the interest of justice for the counsel to be present, and the warrant of his arrest cannot be sacrificed on the altar of breach of fair hearing, maintaining that the counsel to Mr. Bello should be put on notice. Justice Nwite subsequently adjourned the case to December the 13th for hearing, an abridgment of time, and possible arraignment. He further ordered Mr. Bello to be remanded in the custody of the EFCC. In part 2, after the break, Court of Appeal acquits and discharges Medical Director of Optimal Cancer Care Foundation, Dr. Olufemi Olaleye. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, reaching you live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. A boat carrying over 200 passengers capsizes in River Niger. 8 bodies recovered as search and rescue operations continue. President Bola Tinubu and French President Emmanuel Macron signed 2 agreements that will ensure a partnership on the development of critical infrastructure. And the World Trade Organization General Counsel reappoints Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as Director General for a second term. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has admitted the 109 foreign nationals allegedly involved in cybercrimes to bail in the sum of 1 billion naira. The suspects, who all pleaded not guilty to the 6-count charge preferred against them, were granted bail on the condition that they produce 5 sureties in the sum of 200 million naira each. The sureties must also be residents in Abuja with landed property worth 200 million naira. Justice Ekirite Akpan further ordered that the defendants and their 5 sureties must submit all their original traveling documents with the court registrar and must not travel out of Nigeria throughout the period of their trial. The defendants and their sureties are also to submit 2 copies of their recent passport photograph to the court. Pending the perfection of the bail conditions, Justice Akpan ordered that the males among the accused persons be remanded at Kuje Prison, while the females are to go to Kefi Prison in Nasarawa State. The defense counsel, Mr. Ogwu Onoja, expresses optimism that his clients will meet the bail conditions. Meanwhile, Justice Omotosho of the Federal High Court Abuja has discharged and acquitted no fewer than 50 persons alleged to be members of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra IPOB on allegations bordering on terrorism. Delivering judgment, Omotosho held that the Nigerian police force failed in its entirety to establish a case against the 50 defendants, including 4 women. Justice Omotosho also upheld the no-case submission of the defendants, saying the prosecution failed to adduce any credible evidence linking the defendants with the allegations that were charged for. The judge subsequently struck out the 3-count charge preferred against the defendants. The Inspector General of Police had sued the 50 defendants, and the charge, dated January the 10th, but then filed on February the 9th, Count 1 alleged that on about December the 12th, 2023, at Umunze village in Oguata local government area of Anambra State, while acting on tip-off of intelligence gathering, intercepted and arrested the suspect by the officers and men of the Nigeria Police Force and led by CSP Collins Eregu with other local vigilante groups. Lawmakers are set to review laws against kidnapping for ransom to curb the menace, especially in the Northwest region. The House Committee Chairman on Police Affairs, Maki Yelman, revealed this during a 5-day training program for police officers of kidnapping and hostage negotiations in Kano. Our correspondent, Sadiq Ilyasu, reports.
The Nigerian Police Trust Fund, established under the 2019 Act to strengthen the Nigerian police force, is ramping up efforts to improve police operations and infrastructure across the country. The Executive Secretary of the Trust Fund, Mr. Muhammad Shaidu, together with the Chairman of the House Committee on Police Affairs, Mr. Maki Abubakar El-Leman, recently toured Kano to assess facilities at the 11 area commands, 78 police divisions, and the police academy in Wudil.
It is quite necessary that the internal security of the nation, the police force is the one organization that's charged for that. So we need to be able to train our officers in the aspects that matter the most, especially in the areas. Like what you could see here is we're doing training on kidnapping and resolutions of kidnapping, which is quite cumbersome here in the Northwest, as we're in Kano, and you know that most of what is going on around here are issues that are related to kidnapping and banditry. So I think it is quite imperative that the officers here are well equipped to be able to think onto challenges like that and how to be able to solve those type of issues.
The team later opened a 5-day training for police officers on kidnapping, hostage negotiation, and ransom. The chairman of the House Committee on Police Affairs revealed plans by the federal lawmakers to review the laws on kidnapping and ransom payment.
Me being part of security committees and my colleagues also, they are there engaging and gathering data and information from the various military and paramilitary security agencies that we're going to meet together and consolidate and come up with something tangible that we can have and act on it at the national level. Some of the laws that we have, they are very soft, so we review them and consolidate and get information from all the stakeholders and relevant security committees to see how we are going to come with something that is very serious on kidnapping.
The training is expected to bolster the capacity of the officers to address the challenges of kidnapping and enhance security in the country, especially Nigeria's northwest region. Sadiq Ilyasu, Channels Television News.
The Court of Appeal sitting in Lagos has acquitted and discharged the medical director of Optimal Cancer Care Foundation, Dr. Olufemi Olaleye. The court upturned the decision of the Lagos State Sexual Offences and Domestic Violence Court, which had sentenced Dr. Olaleye to life imprisonment for defiling his wife's 16-year-old niece. Justice Olukayode Bada, who read the lead judgment, which was adopted by the two other justices on the panel, held that the trial court erred in convicting Dr. Olaleye based on tainted and unreliable evidence of his estranged wife, Oluremi, and the alleged survivor, with names withheld. The other members of the panel were Justice Mohammed Ibrahim Sirajo and Justice Folashade Ayodeji-Ojo. The appellate court said there were material contradictions in the evidence gathered by the prosecution, which should not have been relied on by the lower court. The court also faulted some other parts of the evidence of the prosecution during trial, which were from a child forensic specialist, a medical doctor from Mirabel Center, an investigative officer, which were found to be worthless. We have more for you on the news at 10. Let's head over to Abuja Studios now, where Mark Ogun Yusuf is standing by. Hello, Mark.
Hello, and we're starting off with security, as the Nigeria Police Force has announced the arrest of 5 suspects involved in trans-border gun running. Parading the suspects in Abuja, the Force Public Relations Officer, ACP, Olumuyiwa Adejobi, identified the suspects as Adamu Noma, Matthew Audu, Andrew Poyi, Aminu Sani, and Aminu Talha. They were apprehended by the operatives of FID-IRT on the 18th of November this year. ACP Adejobi explains that upon the arrest, a search was conducted which led to the recovery of 10 locally fabricated AK-47 rifles, 5 Israeli AK-47 rifles, 1 revolver pistol, a pump-action rifle, 20 rounds of AK-47 ammunition, and 1 welding machine for the fabrication of rifles.
Through proactive and intelligence-driven policing strategies, the force has been able to disrupt and dismantle various criminal networks, thereby reducing the incidences of insurgency, banditry, violent crimes, and improving the overall security situation of the country. Gentlemen of the press, we are pleased to inform you that our efforts are paying off with solid results. Today, we are showcasing a landmark feat of the arrest of trans-border arms dealers and recovery of arms and ammunition. Today's case, we have our suspects here: Adamu Noma, male; Matthew Audu, male; Andrew Poyi, male; Aminu Sani, male; and Aminu Talha, male.
To education now, the call for tertiary institutions in Africa to bridge the gap between classroom learning and the realities in the world of work reverberates as the 2024 British Council's Global Africa Conference ends in Abuja. The conference, which attracted education professionals from across Africa and beyond, brainstormed on building sustainable and relevant tertiary education system in Africa.
It's been 3 days of intense brainstorming on how tertiary institutions in Africa can remain relevant in the ever-evolving global education landscape. The crux of the discussion is sustainable and relevant tertiary education systems that are forward-thinking and able to bridge the gap between learning and the realities of the labor market.
Through this session, we hope to identify emerging global trends, technological, environmental, economic, and social, that will impact tertiary education by 2050. We also hope to inspire a forward-looking mindset in stakeholders.
The
higher education needs to take on the responsibility to figure out where the gap is to meet industry's needs, right, to be productive.
The undeniable dynamics in today's fast-paced world, driven by an evolving world of information technology, places additional responsibilities on the shoulders of policymakers and administrators of tertiary institutions in Africa.
Currently, there is a huge disparity between the education systems that we offer and the rapidly evolving job markets or job demands. The reason being that we train a lot of people, we keep giving them the same certificate we have been giving from, times back. There is lack of technical skill, critical thinking, and adaptability in graduates, and this is evidenced by many things the previous speakers have emphasized.
There is much to be learned, I think, from the government of India's new national education policy, a framework that is designed to bridge the gap between academia and the needs of industry, ensuring that core industry-ready skills are embedded in all of our learning portfolios and in ways that we've learned about this week that Ashesi University in Ghana already doing.
For over 80 years of its operation in Nigeria, the British Council has continued to drive conversations that add value to the quality of education and providing government with professional insights to the designing of curriculum that meet societal demands.
Still to come on the news at 10, after the break, Nigeria's foreign exchange reserve drops for the first time in 12 weeks following sustained intervention by the central bank at the forex market. Do join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. Now, the University of Nigeria has held its 12th convocation ceremony, graduating over 1,800 undergraduate and postgraduate students in Abuja. Addressing the gathering, the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Dili Dogo, announced that the university's graduate employability rate has reached an impressive 91%, attributing this milestone to the institution's strong academic programs and strategic partnerships focused on practical skills development. He further highlighted the university's focus on career services and entrepreneurship training as core components of its strategy to equip students with the skills needed to thrive in a competitive labor market.
The now University of Nigeria held its 12th convocation ceremony, celebrating the achievement of over 1,800 graduating students from various faculties and departments. The event attracted prominent Nigerians and education stakeholders, including the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. George Akume, lawmakers, the Governor of Borno State, Mr. Babagana Zulum, and proud parents of the graduates. The ceremony commenced with a grand procession featuring the graduates, followed by the university administration, executives, and government council members. After the procession, the Vice-Chancellor of the university, Professor Dili Dogo, delivered an inspiring speech.
That Nile University, since its inception, had continued to take positive moves to ensure that here in Nigeria, in the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria, we are able to provide quality education.
The highlight of the ceremony included the recognition of 5 exceptional students as the overall best graduating students for the year.
Our academic exploits is universal. So far, we have 75 different partner institutions across the world working together to ensure that we deliver on quality education that will serve the needs of the 21st century.
Valedictorian David Adeshina Arungbemi delivered a moving valedictory address, urging his fellow graduates to become ambassadors of the university and contribute positively to society. The ceremony also featured the conferment of honorary degrees on 3 distinguished personalities, including the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. George Akume. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the Special Guest of Honor, Senator George Akume, called for collective efforts in creating a safe and conducive environment for education.
We believe no child should be denied education because of the circumstances of his birth. Together we must foster safe and inclusive environments where students can learn, innovate, and grow.
The school's management says Now University will continue to solidify its position as a leader in higher education in Nigeria.
And that's it from the nation's capital. It's back now to you, Anne, for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you very much, Malwe. The company is now Motul Lubricants and WinPart by CFAO are thrilled to announce the successful launch of their strategic partnership aimed at making Motul premium lubricants available to all automobile users in the country. The two notable brands say they're coming together is to give superior experience and deliver premium quality and exceptional value to their customers across the country.
Average, let's say 85. The event brings together representatives of Motul Lubricants and WinPart by CFAO, fleet maintenance companies, workshop owners, distributors and retailers under one roof to foster collaboration and partnership, all to ensure Motul's world-class automotive products are more accessible to consumers across Nigeria. To have a better understanding of the lubricants journey, guests are taking through some vital information about the product.
Estercore is a dedicated brand of Motul. It's about the highest quality of the base oil we use in many of our products.
Very glad to celebrate this partnership. I'm very emotional as it is more a question of passion and values that we are sharing now, and I hope for long years again.
Also present are customers who give account of their experiences.
Motul's product will allow me to start my car within 3 minutes. It'll warm up. The next 10-15 minutes, I'm out there trashing the car.
A wonderful time, using Motul. One of the members of our group actually saw my bike today and said, "Oh, your bike still looks new." I say, "Yes, because I'm using the right type of lubricant."
Next is the unveiling of the Motul lubricant.
See, a round of applause. Let's go!
Representatives from both companies emphasized the shared vision of promoting advanced automotive care.
As you already know, there is already a lot of brands available, but Motul, by sense of research and development, innovation, agility, and the type of product they are giving is unique. So we want to give really this unique experience to our customers here in Nigeria.
For us, it's very important to come here and to make this partnership reality, because we trust that with the WinPart by CFAO, we can go fast.
The experience with Motul is fantastic, and I will recommend it any day, anytime. Even if I sleep and wake up and you ask, what brand are you going to recommend? I will recommend it any day at the snap of a finger.
Through this partnership, the two organizations say they are poised to redefine quality in the Nigerian automotive product market, a tradition Motul has maintained in over 171 years of existence.
We now go over to join Will Ebong for more in the world of business.
Thank you, Anne. Now, after 12 weeks of uninterrupted accretion, Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves has recorded its first decline. According to latest data from the central bank, the country's external buffers, which gives the CBN firepower to defend the naira, dropped by $34.92 million week on week, but still remains at a comfortable level of 40.24 billion naira dollars as of November the 27th. Financial market analysts attribute the renewed drop in the FX reserves to the series of interventions carried out by the CBN at the foreign exchange markets in the past few days. Just a couple of weeks ago, the FX reserves rose to nearly 3-year high of $40 billion, driven by foreign inflows as well as marginal proceeds of crude oil. Now let's find out how the stock market ended the last trading day of November, and Laddie Williams has the report.
And welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the last trading day of November couldn't sustain the gain from yesterday. We'll see the all-share index pullback there of 0.28%, 97,000. Still maintained. That's for the all-share index. Market cap back to 59 trillion. Let's look at the market mover today. We see Seplat Energy and 26 other stocks that drag the all-share index down, closing at 5,300 naira and down about 6.02% per share, and that's contributed to the downturn we see in the market today. For the sectoral performance now, we see the oil and gas counter hammered by that Seplat drop there, 2.56%. Consumer goods marginally up. Now we see banking there, financial services 0.67% up, with buy interest in most of the tier 1 banks, with the likes of United Bank for Africa and Zenith Bank both making the headlines. From France today, we see UBA set to begin full banking operations in France, and Zenith Bank expanding with a new branch in Paris. So yeah, the financial services sector there shining today. So all eyes on December now. Will there be a Santa rally? That's the question. Fingers crossed.
And that's it on business. It's back to you, Anne.
Welcome back. Members of Parliament in the United Kingdom have voted in favour of a bill to legalise assisted dying in England and Wales. This bill, which has passed first stage in the Commons, will be followed by months of parliamentary scrutiny and approval before it becomes law. Here's Simon Puse with other international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Video has been obtained showing the moment buildings in Gaza's Nuseirat were hit by Israeli strikes. People were seen running away and smoke billowing. Israeli military strikes killed at least 17 Palestinians across the Gaza Strip as forces stepped up bombardments on central areas and pushed tanks deeper in the north and south of the enclave. In Nuseirat, one of the Gaza Strip's 8 historic refugee camps, Israeli planes carried out several airstrikes, destroying a multi-floor building and hitting roads outside mosques. At least 7 people were killed in some of those strikes. Meanwhile, Israeli protesters have called for a ceasefire in Gaza in the wake of a deal to end more than a year of fighting between Israel and Lebanon's Hezbollah. About 1,000 people attended the protest organised by the Women's Protest for the Return of the Hostages. Video showed police removing some of the protesters who were blocking a road and sitting in front of a large banner. Some 101 Israeli hostages remain captive in Gaza, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to bring them all home and to eradicate Hamas. Police have clashed with protesters in the Georgian capital Tbilisi after the country's ruling party said the government would suspend talks on European Union accession and refuse budgetary grants until 2028. The country's interior ministry said 3 police officers were injured. Police ordered protesters to disperse, fired water cannon and deployed pepper spray and tear gas as masked young people tried to smash their way into the parliament. Georgia's relations with the EU have deteriorated sharply in recent months as Brussels has alleged that the government has resorted to authoritarian measures and adopted pro-Russian stands. Russian President Vladimir Putin has threatened to attack decision-making centers in the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv with the country's new ballistic missile. Mr. Putin was speaking hours after Russia launched a comprehensive strike on Ukraine's energy grid overnight in what he called a response to continued attacks using US-supplied ATACMS missiles on Russian soil. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned that any Russian blackmail would be met with a tough response. At least 11 people have been injured in a massive pileup involving 53 cars on a stretch of highway in South Korea's eastern city of Wonju amid heavy snow. Police said the multi-vehicle accident occurred at around 5:30 p.m. local time, and 3 people were sent to hospital with minor injuries. Crashed cars and tow trucks were seen at the scene of the pileup. The Interior Ministry upgraded its disaster response, saying up to 5 centimetres an hour of snow was forecast through Thursday morning, warning that wet snow had a high concentration of moisture, adding to the risk of damage to facilities and property.
Good morning. How are you? Good morning. How are you?
The polls have opened for the Irish general election. Here, the Irish Prime Minister Simon Harris casting his ballot. Friday's vote comes after a 3-week election campaign with pressures around housing, immigration and public services dominating. The ballot will see a total of 174 seats of the lower chamber of Parliament, the Dial, being filled, which is more than ever before. And a bionic knee and ankle system has taken one of the top prizes at Cyberthon, a competition to showcase technology for those with motor disabilities. Called Omnia, the bionic system consists of motorized knee and ankle components, allowing the user to handle various situations and terrain. The Unico knee combines hydraulic and electric technology. Its makers say its unique composition helps its users feel a more natural walk while keeping them safe from falls.
This is the Unico knee, part of the Omnia leg prosthesis. It's quite unique compared to other devices because it features 2 different technologies altogether. First of all, an hydraulic system for the passive task, which is the most diffused technology used from other devices, and also an active motor, which comes into play for most demanding activities such as standing up from a chair or going upstairs.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. Super Falcons head coach Justin Madugu says his team is set for Saturday's international friendly and are gunning for victory against the Le Bleu of France in Angers. Both teams last clashed nearly 5.5 years ago, where the Super Falcons of Nigeria needed a result to progress to the round of 16 of the FIFA Women's World Cup finals, with France winning the tie by a lone goal. In the meantime, defender Oluwatosi Dime is the latest player that has been ruled out of the game following injury to the Turkey-based centre-back. Right. Having won his first Europa game, new Manchester manager Ruben Amorim now has his sights set on bagging another win at Old Trafford this Sunday, this time against Everton in his home Premier League debut in charge of the club. And while the America-side opponents will have had a full week to prepare since their scoreless draw with Brentford last Saturday, United were in action on Thursday against Bodo Glimt, their second game in 5 days. Staying in the Premier League, with Manchester City mired in a 6-game winless slump and facing one of their biggest challenges this season at Liverpool this Sunday. Manager Pep Guardiola says the responsibility is on him to prove he can right the ship. A loss at Anfield would leave Guardiola's men 11 points adrift of the leaders in the Premier League race, but the Spaniard says he's thinking of the big picture rather than the potential ramifications of just one game. In the La Liga, Barcelona head coach Hansi Flick has confirmed that teenager winger Lamine Yamal will return after 3 weeks out with injury for the game against Las Palmas this weekend. The 17-year-old has been sidelined since early November with an ankle problem. Barcelona have picked up just 1 point from the 2 league games he missed in that time. Yamal has scored 6 times in 16 appearances this season, and he's provided 8 assists. And that's your sports news. I am Kelly Egiga. It's back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. A boat carrying over 200 passengers has capsized in River Niger, with 8 bodies recovered as search and rescue operations continue. President Bola Tinubu and French President Emmanuel Macron have signed 2 agreements to ensure a partnership on the development of critical infrastructure. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Please, for our viewers on our DSTV platform, we will air delayed broadcast of the Comptroller General of Customs Award 2024 holding in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. And on other platforms, we'll continue with our usual programming for the day. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful weekend. Good night.